Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to our Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Racha Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the Great Millstone who do rule and teach well. Peace and blessings, salutations, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Barakatham, to you sincere Akim, pushing this gospel to the four corners of the earth, laboring in this truth in all diligence, righteousness, and sincerity, occupying the faith and testimony of our Lord Yahweh Shai, and to the few sincere Aquath that listen and learn as well, to you I say Shalom. So it's your brother Azariah and more MOTB news and discussion here. All right, so you see the title of this article from India Today. Elon Musk says NEURALINK will mass produce brain chips in 2026. Surgery will be almost fully automated. Now, we've been going into these things throughout the years and basically showing you that the end goal of these elites, these technocrats, is to surveil people underneath the skin. And going into this NWO, being that we're 4 years away from the target agenda of 2030, the closer we get to that year, these elites are ramping up the pressure. They're increasing the rollout of these particular agendas, all right? And we see that the digital ID is now on the scene. We see that the gold and silver markets are going crazy, which signals that there's a collapse coming very soon, all right? Really sometime this year it's going to happen. Some say it may happen in March. Some say it may happen towards the middle to the end of 2026. But nonetheless, we know that they're going to do away with this system and they want to bring in a new one. And in this new system, they want to have everybody tracked, traced, and on the grid. All right. And you will not be able to function in society unless you have this device here. All right. So Elon Musk, all right, he's been talking about this over the years. And, now he's saying that in 2026, brain chips will be mass produced. You see, and this directly correlates to biblical prophecy. All right. Because you already have, you look at the country of Sweden. All right. They were pretty much the first ones to heavily adopt the use of the chip, all right, where people use it to get into work. They use it to pay for things, lock their cars, lock their homes, just a variety of things. They use it for security and benefits and things of that nature. Well, that's the system that they want to roll out worldwide, okay, and you're already seeing it. So here in America, Babylon the Great, it's going to be the same thing. Okay, so basically prepare for this chip to become more prominent this year. Right, 2025, we saw the rollout of digital IDs and stable coins and things of that nature. Remember when Trump signed the Genius Act, okay, which all these things are outlined within the Genius Act. All right, so these technocrats are moving. This agenda is coming forth and Esau's coming. So it says here, Elon Musk has revealed major plans for his brain computing interface firm NEURALINK for 2026. The tech billionaire claims that NEURALINK will mass produce brain chips this year with an automated surgical process to implant the chips inside humans. Now, you might ask, right? Why would Elon Musk, all right, and those that are in his circle, the technocrats that were behind Trump when he first came into office, why would they desire to put chips in people's heads? Why would they desire to have people implant chips within their bodies? Well, when you understand the overall agenda, this is nothing more than a new technological Tower of Babel. Okay, you had Yuval Harari pretty much say that humans are now hackable animals, and the tyrants of old, they didn't have this capability. They didn't have the technology to know what people are thinking, to be able to cut people off if they dissent against the powers that be. All right, this is a system of complete control that these elites are bringing down the pike. You see, and if you rebel or buck up against it, they won't need to come and search for you. They'll already know where you're at. That's why they have technology now, the Starlink. Okay, they're bringing about the 6G technology. Okay, because all these all these new technology that they're bringing about, it's gonna have to run off of some very high speed, high data. Right, that's why they're building all these data centers now. That's using up all kind of energy, sending people's electric bills sky high. Okay, because data is the name of the game, and these devils, they need to know. In order for them to have full control over the people, they have to know what's in people's minds. Okay, they have to know. Basically, they want to be thought police. Okay, going back to 1984, George Orwell. Okay, these things are happening right before you in real time in 2026. All right, and he's saying that the implantation of these brain chips is going to be automated. Okay, meaning that robotics, AI, is going to be used in the implantation of these chips. Okay, now I mentioned Yuval Harari. All right, matter of fact, before we get him, all right, because this is a receipt here, and this is Klaus Schwab, head of the WEF. All right, this is back in 2017, to where he was on stage talking, and he basically said that 7 years from now, okay, 7 to 8 years from now, that you know everybody in the audience would have implants. All right, well, I believe he said 10 years, but we'll play it. But showing you that these agendas that are being pushed, okay, Elon Musk, he's not the inventor of the brain chip. He's just the guy that they put out there to push these things forward. This is really coming down from the elites. Okay, this is their agenda that's playing out. Okay, so Klaus Schwab, brain implant.
Advancing very fast. But can you imagine that in 10 years when we are sitting here, we have an implant in our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain.
He said you all will have implants, all right? And mind you, this is 2017, so he said 10 years from now. So 2027, we're in 2026, and we see that the talks of the brain chips, all right, are becoming more prominent. You see, so this may very well be the year where these devils, push this chip to be mandated. We just got to wait and see, but we see the gradualism that's taking place, all right? But you heard what this devil said. He said in 10 years, he said, you all will have implants, okay? They'll be able to know what you're thinking, all right? They'll be able to feel, how people react when certain things are said, all right? This is nothing more than them desiring to be like the Most High, all right? Let's back that up.
In our brains, and I can immediately feel, because you all will have implants, and we measure your brain waves, and I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers. Is it imaginable?
Yeah, so that's pretty much the point, all right? But that's the kind of power that these devils want. They want to be inside your head, all right? They want to be able to know what you're thinking at all times, okay? Again, they want to be like the Most High, okay? This man Esau, Edom, he has a God complex. Then Yuval Harari, all right, echoes the same very statement. Surveillance under the skin, okay, which again is the ultimate goal of what these elites want. Okay, all these digital IDs and stable coins and all of that, that's nothing more than a precursor to get to this right here, to surveil you underneath the skin by the way of the RFID microchip, okay, which will go in the brain, all right, or you can get it in your hand, or some people might get it in other places on their body, but those are the two most convenient places that people will opt to get the chip. Now, the brain chip, most people aren't going to get that. Most people will opt to get the chip in the hand because it's less invasive. You know, a lot of people don't really like the idea of having a chip put in their brain. All right, but how they're going to sell it is that they're basically going to say that if you get the brain chip, that you'll become a superhuman. Okay, right now they're marketing this as something good for people that have disabilities, you know, people that have are mentally impaired, you know, people that have motor function deficiency and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Right now it's being pushed as something to heal. All right, this devil is putting brain chips in people. You know, he's restoring sight to those that were blind. All right, he's making paraplegics walk again. You know what I'm saying? So he's performing left hand miracles. Okay, what Yahweh Shai did on the right hand side, all right, through the spirit, you know, these devils are doing, are going to attempt to do these same very miracles, but they're going to do it through artificial means, okay? Because this is ultimately Esau's pseudoscience at work here, okay? Or science so falsely called, all right? But this is Yuval Harari, Surveillance Under the Skin.
Humans are now hackable animals. You know, the whole idea that
he said humans are now hackable animals. So they're going to hack into you using biochemistry. Okay, they're going to hack into you using biotech. Okay, the internet of bodies, the internet of things. And, you know, most people are not aware of these terms. Most people are not even aware of what these things really mean. You know, but they're going to put it out there. You know, they're going to sell this narrative of this is the new wave of humanity. Okay, to where they're going to push these things and they're going to market it to say, well, if you want to level up and become a, you know, basically become an improved human being, then this chip is the way to do it. Just imagine, and they've already talked about these things, but just imagine you get the brain chip, and instead of having to learn 50 languages, you know, you can put a chip in your head and you can automatically download languages into your mind, all right, automatically. Okay, you can, you know, process information super fast, all right. You can unlock more of your brain capacity. You know, these are the things that these devils are pushing as to why we must have the chip, because this is an improvement for humanity. Okay, hence what he's talking about, humans becoming hackable animals.
humans have, you know, this, they have this soul or spirit and they have free will, and nobody knows what's happening inside me. So whatever I choose, whether in the election or whether in the supermarket, this is my free will. That's over. We have all this still myth of free will, that everything we choose is of our own free will. And this is a...
And there is no free will, okay? The scriptures say that man's goings are of the Lord. How then can a man understand his own way? All right, so even these devils, okay, they don't have free will. All right, they're doing exactly what prophecy said that they would do. You see, they're on this earth to fulfill a particular purpose, and that is to bring forth wickedness and to bring forth the MOTB, okay, the mark. You see, that's why they're here. This is the wicked that the Bible speaks about, okay, that would bring tyranny to the earth, take peace from the earth, and ultimately be in total rebellion against the Most High. All right, so there is no free will. They're fulfilling their lot, as is everybody that's on the planet Earth right now. Okay, you have some vessels that were created to be righteous, and you have some vessels that were created to be wicked and corrupt. All right, and this is the seed of the wicked. All right, Esau, Edom. Okay.
That served us well for a couple of centuries, but now it's becoming dangerous. Previously, surveillance was mainly above the skin. Now it's going under the skin. No, I think maybe in a couple of decades, when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis is this is the moment when everything went digital. And
yeah, see, that's what it was really all about. The CV19. It was all about transitioning the world from a more, you know, natural way of life, you know, dealing with cash and, you know, real money and, having real human interactions, and now everything becoming digital, more technological. You understand? Because, not to say that the world before 2020 was less that, but it was more focused on what humans can do. It was more focused on, okay, if a human has a computer, what's the best way that the human can utilize the computer? Okay, going forward from 2020 to now, the thing now is artificial intelligence. The thing now is not so much what a human can do behind a computer, but what the AI or a robot can, how it can influence society. Okay, so it's going beyond the external, and now it's becoming more technologically based and less human based. All right, that's why even Elon Musk told you that once the AI takes over, it's not going to be many jobs that a robot can't do, and they're actively looking to replace human beings with humanoid robots. Matter of fact, these things are already being rolled out in places like China. All right, that's going on heavy over there. Robots are already being rolled out in restaurants in America, and this job crisis is about to get a lot worse because you know these sectors that people once relied on to feed their families, these big corporate jobs and things of that nature, it's all being taken over by AI and robotics. Okay, even blue collar work, construction and things, they're now trying to implement robotics into that sector as well. So very soon, nobody's gonna have a job. It's gonna be cause for universal basic income, but it's gonna come with a catch. All right, the catch is gonna be you're gonna have to get that insertable chip, and they're gonna be able to surveil you, and that's how you're gonna get your benefits. Okay, so these things are rapidly coming forth.
And this was the moment when everything became monitored, that we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian regimes, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly of all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin.
Yeah, and that's the moment when surveillance started going under the skin. Okay, so you heard it from the devil's mouth right there. Okay, and all these individuals: Elon Musk, Klaus Schwab, Larry Ellison, Sam Altman, Gates. Okay, all these individuals are in the same circles, man. They're all on the same page, fulfilling the same agenda. Okay, so the Neuralink is one of Elon Musk's ambitious projects aiming to enable users to control devices with their thoughts through brain-computer interface chips. And we saw a few years ago where there was a monkey that was implanted with a brain chip that was playing ping pong with just his brain. Okay, that's what they want to do with human beings. Okay, again, this goes into the Internet of Bodies, the Internet of Things, augmented reality. You see, all these things are intertwined together. So these devils, and this is a part of you being an upgraded human, just being able to use your mind to interact with the world. Okay, this can be particularly useful for people suffering from severe paralysis who may be unable to manually control devices. See, so like I said, this brain chip, most people aren't going to opt in to get this, but those that are paralyzed, or they're paraplegic or whatever, or they have mental issues, they're going to be more inclined, to get this, right, because it's going to be of a benefit to them, to restore what they lost. All right, so it's going to be more appealing to them. But the average everyday person, once this thing is mandated, they're going to opt in to get the hand chip, okay, to be able to buy and sell and things of that nature. All right. Now, as 2026 kicks off, Musk has detailed some big plans for his brain chip company, with a focus on mass production and automated surgery. On X, the tech billionaire revealed Neuralink's plans in a response to a post that outlined the company's developments for 2025. Elon Musk claimed that in the coming year, the company will start the mass production of brain computing interface chips, allowing for greater access to the chips. Moreover, Musk reckoned that by the end of this year, the entire process of implanting these chips will be automated. he wrote, Neuralink will start high volume production of brain computer interface devices and move to a streamlined, almost entirely automated surgical procedure in 2026. Okay, let me see here. This announcement marks a significant leap for Neuralink's ambitions in neurotechnology. The push for automation aims to make implant surgeries faster and more accessible for patients with paralysis or other severe neurological conditions. All right. So the brain chip is mostly going to be pushed to those that have neurological conditions, but overall, um, this is the new wave right here. Okay, this is what's being pushed. All right, and of course, when you get the Revelation, the 13th chapter. All right, hold on. Revelation 13 and 16, and it reads, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. So all members of society are going to have to get this. Okay, whether small and great, whether you are high level politician, or whether you just a low level everyday working class citizen, right? Rich and poor, free and bond, even if you in jail, right? We've been seeing over the years where they've been testing this technology out on inmates that are in prison, okay, to where I remember there was one about 2 or 3 years ago, a story had came out to where prisons wanted to implant chips into inmates so that they could simulate their prison sentence or simulate the hurt that the victims that they wronged went through within a short amount of time so that they could complete their prison sentence, man. So, these things are going to be rolled out, all right, whether you in jail or whether you so-called free outside, okay? This is going to have, listen, man, Revelation 3 and 10 says what? That, this temptation shall come upon the whole world, all right? We can get that. But continuing on, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, okay? So when you receive that chip in your right hand, some people might get it in their left or whatever, it don't matter. The point is it's going to go in your hand, because that's the there was a video going into the science of it, how when you get a chip in your hand, that's a very convenient way to or it's a very convenient place to put the chip because of heat or something like that, but also in the forehead, so in your brain. Okay, that's talking about the brain chip right there. All right, verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Right, so you're not going to be able to buy or sell unless you have that mark, unless you have that device implanted within you. Okay, and these devils have already been talking about cutting people off, who don't want to get with the system. Okay, so if you get this chip, if you receive this mark, all right, then that's going to basically tell the elites that with what they're doing, all right, that you're aligned to this world, man. Okay, the only ones that's not going to get the chip are the elect. Okay, those that the Lord is going to keep from that hour of temptation, man. Okay, because really he wants to get the elect out the way, because the elect had the testimony of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai. You see, so this is all about weeding out the elect and destroying the elect, because the devil knows that the Lord's elect have the inheritance to the promise. All right, so in his mind, if he can get the elect out the way, then he will receive the blessing and he will continue to reign on the earth. But it's not going to happen. Okay, like I mentioned, Revelation 3 and 10. Revelation 3 in verse 10, and it reads, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. See, so Revelation 3 and 10, all right, that is the hour of temptation where you're going to be presented with hunger, with famine. You're going to be presented with the MOTB, the mark. Okay, you're going to be presented with harsh slander, ridicule, just all manner of things, being thrown in jail, being beheaded. Okay, your fate is gonna be tried during this time, man. All right, so this is a thing where you got to endure. All right, you have to know what you're involved in, and you have to have faith in your Yahweh Shai to overcome these things, man. Because when these things come down the pipe, people are going to be afraid, right? Okay, which we see that they're inducing fear among the people with all these T attacks. All right, out there in Europe and I believe it was Switzerland. You know, there was a fire that took place that, took out or injured like 100 people, and I think 27 people were unalived. All right, you had shootings in clubs here in America on New Year's Eve. You know what I'm saying? So there were a lot of things going on. You know what I'm saying, that happened. To usher in this new year. Okay, but overall, it's all false flags, FFs to get people in fear. To get you know more surveillance. Laws laid down. To put more cameras in these cities and things of that nature to watch you, man. All right, these devils are the ones doing it. So it's only a matter of time before they come with the ultimate agenda of surveilling you underneath the skin in the name of peace and safety. Okay, that's what it's all about. All right, so yeah, just wanted to make that an update. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying through the Rakakadash, called Law, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakakadash. And until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the elect. Kwam Yashala, Wa Bible Ball.